Paradise, a place of perfection. But what if I told you that, even before the first bite, war had already been declared? A conflict not of swords or armies, but of lies and whispers. The fall of Adam and Eve wasn't the beginning of the struggle, it was the consequence. And what truly lurks in Eden before the forbidden fruit? The truth is darker than any legend. Imagine young Adam. He walks through Eden, naming the animals with pure joy, his mind free from worry, focused solely on God's creation. He knows no pain, no distrust, no doubt. But Eve, the newly created Eve, she carries with her an innocence that, curiously, makes her more vulnerable. She lacks the memories of Adam's previous paradise. She has not seen the loneliness that preceded it, and it is in this subtle difference that the conflict is rooted. While Adam delights in perfection, Eve wonders, why is this perfection so limited? To understand Eden, we must go back to what came before. Much earlier, in heaven, a being of light, Lucifer, rebelled against his creator. His envy and pride led him to a war he lost. But his defeat wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a new strategy. He saw in the creation of Adam and Eve a chance for revenge, to ruin God's masterpiece. In Eden, the serpent doesn't appear out of nowhere. It is the manifestation of ancient envy, a seed planted in virgin soil. The serpent isn't there simply to tempt Eve, but to end a war that began in heaven. The fall of Adam and Eve wasn't a mistake. It was the result of a heavenly battle that extended to earth. The text of Genesis is not a fairy tale. It is a document about spiritual geopolitics. The serpent is not just a talking reptile. The Hebrew word nachash can be translated as serpent, but also as shining or illuminated. It is a clear callback to Lucifer, the light bearer. Dr. Jorge Almeida, theologian and historian. What most people don't understand is that Satan didn't need Adam and Eve to sin to prove his point. He just needed them to doubt. Doubt is Lucifer's most powerful weapon. It destroys trust, and trust was the foundation of that paradise. Do you remember the story of Lucifer, the expelled angel? The great battle in heaven we showed in our other video? Well, the war he lost in heaven, he brought to earth. The first question the serpent asks Eve isn't about the fruit. It's about God's word. Did God really say this? The war isn't about disobedience, it's about doubt. And doubt was the first seed of death. Most people think Adam's greatest mistake was eating the fruit. But what if the story is different? What if Adam, knowing the fruit was forbidden, ate it not out of disobedience, but out of love? He saw that Eve, his companion, had already eaten. She was already condemned. And in an act of desperation and loyalty, he decided to share the same fate, the same condemnation, out of love for the one God gave him. The fall was not an act of rebellion, but of loyalty to a human being, not to God. And that, my friend, is what makes it all the more tragic. And what brings us to the next part of this story,